restoring a Bing Clockwork train. And this is part 9, repairing the first carriage. I'm really impressed with the detail on this carriage, even the doors open and latch. Just like the locomotive, this carriage is very old and very play worn, to say the least. Look at the state of the buffers. I'll make some new ones, I think. But first of all, using a pair of pliers, I'm carefully bending the running boards back to the original position. And as these are soft soldered components, I'm being very careful about it. It's a pity the condition isn't a bit better. There's a lot of parts missing, but look at the detail on the doors. They have a working latch. Well, this one's seized up, so I'll just gently free it off with a pair of pliers. And by rotating the part back and forth, it frees off okay. So now once again, it's a working latch, and I can shut the door and lock it. To me though, this is what makes this thing special. The entire roof is hinged and lifts up, revealing internal details, like the luggage racks and the seating. Unfortunately though, the state of the roof is really bad. So I'm going to detach the roof from the main carriage and let you have a close look at it. This roof definitely needs a repaint. And also, the side has come adrift from the main bulkhead. This will need repairing. Turning the carriage over to look underneath, as you can see, the wheel is broken and definitely needs some attention. So I'm removing the entire bogie using this wingnut. And when I first looked at this wingnut, I thought, what a funny idea, that's just going to work loose. But no, once you tighten up the wingnut, it drops off the thread to a plain part of the shaft. So the bogie always swivels and you can't over tighten the wingnut. Underneath the bogie frame, there's even a thrust bearing. The bogie at the other side is okay, all the wheels are attached to it. All of the axles run in slots in the bogie frame, and that's to allow the axles to move up and down so that the carriage will run successfully over uneven track. A quick health and safety warning. I'm about to start removing the paint from the roof of the carriage, and this is very old paint, so it probably has lead in it. And as I don't wish to ingest the lead, I'm wearing some PPE. And why the cycle helmet? Well, that's just in case anything falls on my head from a great height in the workshop. I find the best way to remove old paint on a surface like this is with a ruler. It's got to be a steel ruler, it wouldn't work with a wooden one. And as you can see from this clip, it's very easy to remove paint of this age. And the best tool for this job is an RDG Tools ruler. These are really good, they give them away with their products frequently. I'll speed up the video just to make it a bit quicker. As you can see, some of the paint is coming off as dust, but it's not going very far. And after I'd done about half of this job, I used my vacuum cleaner to clean the top surface of the bench. Time to look at the wheel that's floating loose on the bogie. First of all, I have to remove this small cover. Take it easy when doing this, the tabs break off quite easily. The way that these axles are fitted to the bogie frames is very crude. They're just peened over with a hammer. Crude maybe, but it's lasted many years like this, but I need to fix the one that's now loose. It just needs peening over a little bit more. I noticed both on the locomotive and the carriages there's actually soil on the wheels, so I guess that at some time in the past this entire train's been played with in the garden. As I don't intend to play with this in the garden, I'm giving it a bit of a clean. Now is a good time to fix the loose wheel. As you can see, this is the side that's peened over properly, but when I put the other side in, it goes in with a little bit of persuasion, but it will only fall out again, so I'm fixing this by peening over the end of the axle with a very small ball peen hammer. And now it's looking good. Both of the axles are in place. In this clip I'm refitting the cover by carefully bending the tabs back into position. Purely out of curiosity, I measured the distance between the outside edges of the flanges, and it measures 2.5 inches. At first I thought that the carriages were a lesser gauge than the engine, but no, they're all identical. The locomotive and both of the carriages are gauge 3. I thought I would treat the axles to a little bit of lubrication. And I'm also putting some oil on the thrust ring, so that the bogie will rotate freely underneath the carriage. And now I'm about to fit the clever part. This is this wingnut that I mentioned earlier. So it screws onto the thread and it's perfectly fine. And then right at the bottom it screws off of the thread. And that way, not only can it not be over tightened, it would be difficult to find its way back onto the thread to work loose. so there's always the correct amount of play to allow the bogie to swivel properly. Unfortunately, 2 of the tin plate covers are just not to be found. They're missing, but I can live with that. Here are some more shots of the carriage generally, showing the internal detail. I think this is a really nice thing. There are a few of these rings missing. These are on the door handles. But thankfully my daughter Charlotte makes jewellery, so she's probably going to have some rings that I can adapt. So what's the best way to repair this? The solder's gone. I can't resolder it, it will burn the paint off. I could make an angle bracket and drill and rivet it, but I don't think so, because the repair would be visible externally. JB Weld is the way to go. JB Weld is a 2-pack epoxy resin mix. And one part of the mix has some finely ground steel in it, and when this stuff sets, it's incredibly strong. 2 equal parts from the tubes onto a piece of wood and then mixed thoroughly, after which the JB Weld can be applied where it's needed. So okay, the JB Weld is going to be visible internally, but I can live with that, and by the time I've finished it, there won't be much JB Weld visible anyway. I'm holding the corners in position using 2 or 3 layers of masking tape. And here I'm tidying up the JB Weld inside the carriage. For the next 24 hours, the carriage is going to be in this position until the JB Weld sets, and it will find its own level. To finish this video, I'm wearing my safety equipment and I'm completing the removal of the paint from the roof. Just look at the mess on my workbench. Where's my vacuum cleaner? That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful.